Hello, next up is dividing with rational exponents. So there is one type of dividing that we'll do. We actually already learned about it earlier in the year. Remember when you divide with exponents, you subtract them? That's basically what this is, just with fractions. All right, here we go. Okay, so here is the quotient rule for dividing with exponents. When you're dividing terms with the same base, and we're only going to work with the same base, you subtract the exponents. You have to make sure that you have a common denominator, since most of what we're going to be doing is fractions. So let's just start with some examples. So I did one without fractions just to show you. So remember, we've done ones like this before. This turns into x to the 2 minus 3, which is x to the negative 1, which remember a negative exponent goes to the bottom. So this would be 1 over x. Okay. This one, even though I didn't put it in fraction form, like this over this, it's the same thing. So you're still going to do x to the 4/3 minus 2/3. Those have a common denominator, so you just have to subtract the numerators. So that turns into x to the 2/3. And since it's just an x, there's nothing else you can do there. You can only simplify further when the base is a number, like in number 3. So for this one, we have 32 to the 7/5 minus 3/5. So then you subtract the numerators, so it's going to be 32 to the 4/5, which we can keep going, right? So this turns into the 5th root of 32 raised to the 4th power. The 5th root of 32 is 2, so 2 to the 4th power is 16. Okay, a couple more. So this one I wrote a little bit differently, but it's the same thing. So it's going to be 8 to the 2/3 minus 1/3, which is 8 to the 1/3, which we can rewrite as the 3rd root of 8, which is 2. Okay, a couple more examples. Okay, so the last 4 examples do not have a common denominator. So before you can subtract the exponents, you have to make them have a common denominator. So we're going to have w to the 1/3 minus 1/5. So the common denominator with 3 and 5 would be 15. So this one's going to be multiplied by 3. This one's going to be multiplied by 5. So this turns into w to the 5/15 minus 3/15. Now you just subtract the numerator, so that's going to be w to the 2/15, and then you just leave it. Okay, so there's number 5. Next one. So again, 16 to the 1/2 minus 3/4. They don't have a common denominator, so we have to make them have a common denominator, which is going to be 4. So this one just needs to be multiplied by 2. So it turns into 16 to the 2/4 minus 3/4. So 2/4 minus 3/4, 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So this turns into, I'll go on the next line, 16 to the negative 1/4. So then remember, a negative exponent has to go down to the denominator. So it's going to be 1 over 16 to the 1/4, which we can keep going, 1 over the 4th root of 16. The 4th root of 16 is 2, so this final answer is 1/2. Okay, there's number 6. Next one, number 7, is x to the negative 9/10 over x to the 3/8. So this is just going to turn into x to the negative 9/10 minus 3/8. So these need to have a common denominator. So you want to think of the lowest number that 8 and 10 both go into evenly, which would be 40. So to make this one 40, we're going to multiply top and bottom by 5. This one's going to be 4. Okay, so this turns into x to the negative 36 over 40 minus 15 over 40. So then you just have to subtract the numerators. So it's going to be x to the, they're both negative, right? This is like plus a negative. So that's going to be negative 51 over 40. So lastly, you can't leave it with a negative exponent. So the final answer here would be 1 over x to the 51 over 40. And that's as far as you can go for that one. Okay, last one. We have w to the 2/5 divided by w to the negative 1/4. So it's going to be w to the 2/5 minus 1/4. Actually, minus negative 1/4. Don't forget the negative. So that's going to turn into minus, and negative turns into plus, right? So now we need a common denominator. So with 5 and 4, the lowest number they both go into evenly is 20. So to make 1/4 20 on the bottom, we're going to multiply top and bottom by 5. To make 5 20 on the bottom, we're going to multiply top and bottom by 4. So we're going to have w to the 8/20. And remember, it changed to plus because it was minus negative 1/4. So plus 5/20. And then you just add the numerators. So it's going to be w to the 13/20. It's positive, so that's it. That's all we can do. So that's it for dividing. Pretty easy. Just make sure you're always subtracting the top one minus the bottom one. Make sure you have a common denominator. That's it. So that's a Reynolds wrap, and you have a great day.